Don't worry about the cameras or nothing. Okay. Cool. Staying cool out there?
It's different now. It's different when you're a coach. You know?
You don't get as hot, huh?
Nah, not really. I mean, honestly, it's just like we both just trying to figure out everything. Like I got sunshades right now.
You're still trying to figure it out, yeah.
So it's all good though. It's different. It's different than being in the shoulder pads and running, and you got to hit every time, and then you got to break. But now it's like the sun is constantly beating up on you, so it's different. It's a different point of view now.
So hearing Coach Shannon Forman, not just Shannon Forman now. I mean, what's that like, man? Hearing Coach, hearing guys you played with call you Coach now.
The first week, it was kind of like, it was very different. I'm looking at guys I played football with last year. Like, oh, what's up, Coach Forman? I'm like, just call me Shannon. Just call me Shannon. And then, I have coach. All the coaches upstairs are just like they always come to me, Coach Forman. And I'm like, I just can't do nothing but smile.
Yeah.
But now I've got used to it after 2 weeks of being in spring ball and understanding my situation that I really want to do coaching. So that was my thing.
So how did it work out where you became a coach? Obviously, the season ends and you're kind of thinking about what's next. I mean, what was the driving factor for you?
I hurt my shoulder and then I hurt my foot. So I had shoulder surgery. Had that in January. I got that foot surgery. So I'm like, I want to be able to hold my child or my daughter, my son. Yeah. When I get older, I'm like, I done had 5 or 6 surgeries since I've been here. So I want to be able to put my cleats up and be able to be something that I know I have the passion to do. And that's also to be a coach. And also I want to just help the D-line, because I know last year was a struggle. Everybody was banged up. Everybody wasn't all together. Now we have a full, healthy roster, and they're coming back, like Jermaine, Nessa, TJ, Omar, Mike, Joe, Stanley, Garen, Dylan, and Trevez. Matter of fact, all these guys are coming back, and also our leading sack leader, BJ Green. So it's gonna be this group is gonna be very, very special.
So coming back, that was a big thing for you, because I know just reading up and chatting with you a little bit in the hallways, you obviously had dreams to play even on Sundays, and so you just decided with the surgeries and with that opportunity to just put that on hold or put that away and come into this area, or?
Right now it's still right now in the present I'm still focusing on coaching. Okay. So at the end of the day, me and my mom and my dad had a heart-to-heart talk. Right now I want to coach, and I want to my dreams is always to be a head coach in the collegiate, and also just be, especially with everything going on with black coaches and everything. I want to be a black collegiate coach for a Power 5 school. That's my dream, and so I want to be able to do that and also learn. Right now I want to learn the defensive side. I spent, when we watch film, I'm next to Coach Marvin Lewis every time. So it's just like I'm sitting next to him. I'm asking him questions like, how is this formation? How would you play this? How would you do that? And we just talk. Because at the same time, that's my dream, is to be a defensive coordinator, then a head coach.
So I think you're probably in one of the best spots then. You've got guys that have coached at the NFL. You've got guys that are coming up in college. I mean, obviously Coach Rod, who you're side by side with, everyone knows he's going to be a head coach one day. He's one of the brightest minds any of us out here have seen. So far, you feel like you really are soaking up a lot from them, you'd say?
I'm not going to lie to you. The first meeting that I was in, I'm just sitting back like this, like, wow, cover 2? I'm like, this cover, I'm like, oh my God, like you start learning stuff, and then you have Coach Hearn come in there, and you have Marv on the Zoom, because he wasn't there at the time, and you have Coach Henderson, and I'm like, man, like, wow. And they like, Shannon, you got all this? I'm like, yeah.
Sure.
And then we just started talking, and as time go on, you just start taking notes. Like I put the notebook I had when I was like up in there beforehand. I put it in my closet, and I said, I'm just gonna study this and everything. And I just got a notebook for spring ball. So it's like so much notes that you would take just to learn something. Like I was like, man, I know football. Yeah. Until I came in there into the defensive meeting room, I'm like, nah, this is not me. But I know it now.
Yeah.
You know, just soaking up knowledge. That's one thing about that room that you will learn is you soak up so much knowledge to the point where you like, I'm not gonna talk. I'm not gonna say a word. I just want to. All right, okay, cool, coach. You got that back there, Shannon? Yes, I got it. You know.
So you almost feel not like a player still, but you feel like you're learning things from a fresh angle. So it almost feels like you coming in your freshman year when you're watching tape. Does it feel somewhat similar as far as just having that new role and all these new things that you're trying to soak in right now?
Yeah, it's like I'm getting reborn again, and so it's like it's just a different point of view. Like you're learning from like, and as a D lineman, I was looking at it as, oh, how does O lineman block? How do they react with their emotions and everything? That's what I was looking at. Now I'm in a point where I gotta know where the formation's at, how they gonna do it, and I'm just learning. But at the same time, I gotta learn the position that I'm trying to coach right now, and that's D line. So I realized that if you mess up on the D line, it messed the linebackers up, and when the linebackers messed up, it turns out ugly. So that's my thing.
What's it like working side by side with Coach Rye? I know he's already had some really good words to tell us about you already. He says, everyone would love to have a guy like Shannon in their team, whether it's coaching or playing. So what do you think about Coach Rod and working with him?
It's different Coach Rye now. It's a professional Coach Rye where you're learning. Like in the film room, he's more talkative. He's talking, he's giving us feedback. He's the person he's our alpha in the room. But when he's in that defensive staff room, you listening to what he has to learn. So like he's talking, Coach Donnie's telling him this and that. So you like, dang, like that's where he's getting this information from. That's why he's telling us to do this and that. And I mean, like now you understand the amount of battles that he fought for us to rush, to get on edges and everything. So now I'm looking at his point of view. But at the end of the day, he's helping me out so much. Like he's teaching me the ins and outs of being a professional. Obviously he has a unique background. Being a GA at UTEP, and that led him all the way up to the Minnesota Vikings, and he always talk about that. I'm like, so he has a lot of stories about it. And so he's also teaching me how to be a professional. Being handling like paperwork right, making sure you have the cards, making sure you talk football terminology around here. So I mean, like wearing shades, I'm like, sure, okay, cool. But at the end of the day, he's teaching me how to become a coach. Because at the end of the day, he doesn't look at me as a player no more. He looks at me as a coach.
So he's taking you under your wing. Do you have any stories from this first couple weeks here with him so far where you're like, oh, wow, this is way different now? Like, what's the story that you realized, okay, I'm not a player?
It really was when I watched my teammates do the pro day. Okay. That's when I'm like I couldn't. At the end of the day, I was happy. Yeah. But it took me a little back, and I got emotional because you're not there. But like, I mean, really and truly, that story was like, all right, I'm a coach. Yeah, I can't. And like, I remember I put on social media, I put on my Instagram, and I put on my Facebook that
You wrote a letter, right?
Yeah, I wrote a letter, and it was real life. Like everything dealing with that letter was since I was 5 years old. So since I was 5 years old, I always looked at my cousins. They were playing football, and I always go to practice with them, and they told me I was young. I was going to play football at 5 years old, not knowing what I was about to get myself into. Yeah. And they told me I was too young. I became a water boy, and from there on, I just played. And it was passionate. I know I cried a couple of times reading it and editing it out. But, I mean, it was like I feel like football made me who I am right now. It brought me mental toughness. It brought me discipline. And it just was my therapy, because at the end of the day, when you mad, you just let it sink in your head, and you just go out there on the field and you just let it out. And also, but like right now, I'm in a position where I'm uplifting these guys and helping them get on that path of being good. Like Robbie, he's early enrollee. Like I tell him, man, look, hey, I understand what you're going through, but you're gonna get it. Yeah. And be a mod. He came in mid-season, so. I mean, I'm going to make sure these guys get good. And just being around those like Garen and BJ and Dylan, I want to help them out. And so that's my thing right now in this position I am in. I want to be able to give the knowledge that I know and the technique that I began to get when I was playing here the last 2 years, I want to give it to them because at the same time, something that you have can help another person out in a major way, and that's all they need is somebody to help them. And that's like with all these young guys, that's all they need is somebody to give them a little push.
No, that speaks volumes. I mean, one of the sayings I go by, you change someone's life, it'll change your life. I think the same goes for you, especially talking to a bunch of athletes when that time does come and it's over. You're going through a lot, and so I think what you're doing, giving back and going into coaching, seems to be helping you. Have you had conversations, whether it's with your family, whether it's with coaches or other former teammates that have kind of talked you through like what it's like when you're making that adjustment from like no longer being that player?
So I have one of my frat brothers. I'm a part of Make Stuff Opportunity Incorporated, and so he played here my freshman year. So me and him had numerous conversations, and he was like, man, I knew it was over with for me after my senior year. And I was like, how did you prepare? He said, I prepared before my senior year even started. And I was like, so what tips would you tell me to do going into this phase of coaching? And I thinking that I was not done with football after my bowl game. He was like, just start, what do you really want? I've been hearing this all my life. So my mom, my dad, they all been preaching that to me since I was like a junior or a sophomore in high school. And I was like, I'm just gonna play football. I don't know what they're talking about. I was in that phase of criminal justice and everything. I was like, I'm gonna be a probation officer. That's it. So then when that time started kicking, they was like, what are you doing to be a probation officer? I'm like, I'm just gonna play football. But now I'm at the point where I'm like, I just want to coach. And I want to help. I want to help. I really do. Like my mom always said, you're a gentle giant because you like to help. Like I used to go in my mama's house or my grandmother's house, and I'd be asking her for $1, and I'd be like, can I go get $1? Can I get $1? And I go get like some chocolate or something, and they always had this man right there, and I just give him some chocolate. But at the end of the day, it's just how it was. And then like even when I came out here, I'll be having like quarters in my car, and I just put the window down and give somebody like 50 cents or something, just because I'm a caring person and not knowing that like it's a lot of stuff that be going on, and you don't know what this person going through. But at the end of the day, you want to make sure. I want to make sure that I give something back to these persons, so I can feel that just make me feel better.
So it kind of came naturally to you then, because you mentioned you wanted to be a probation officer as sort of your backup role, but it was really a backup because you were really focused on football. So is that kind of something that's off the table for you? You're still studying criminology for that, or is it just now full-time, like you just want to be coaching?
I mean, it's just, right, like I said, present time, I want to coach. That's what I want to do right now, just focus on this coaching. I mean, I'm going to school. I'm going to go back to school for physical education for my master's. Okay. And so I want to do that. If something happen, I want to if I can get a job at a high school, but really I want to stay in college and just help out these guys that's coming from college transition to being a college player. So
yeah, that makes sense. So you mentioned gentle giant. That's what your family knows. I've heard that too. I know Chase Lucas would always tell me that when we would catch up, chatting here and there. Always would say you're one of the best dancers on the team when you're playing. So is that just something that it's going in with your coaching style where like when I see you out there so far, I see like you're very focused, you're very much getting after it, but I see you having small conversations with guys. Is it just kind of kind words of encouragement, or are you going to be more like slowly just like really hammering in certain things with guys?
I just like to tell them the stuff that they're having problems with. Like honestly, like when they're doing their warm up stretch and everything, hey, focus on driving your feet today. Focus on June. Let's get it. Let's focus. Be consistent. Work your moves. Just stuff like that. Like I honestly want them to hear that right then and there, so they can have it in their brain. Like let's get all right. That's what I need to focus on today. Everything else good when Shannon's telling me this, but at the same time I need to focus on this. Like honestly, like it's just a little sign of courage. Like not courage, encouragement.
Yeah.
So that's my thing. I want to make sure that they both, all of them, are on that same page of getting better.
So I want to get a little bit into just like your family life. I was scrolling through your Twitter. I saw you got 8 state championships in your family between your younger sister and your younger brother, right?
Right now it's still one. She got one and counting.
Okay.
So my pops, he's a 4-time state champion. He won it from freshman all the way to senior year. I'm a 2-time state championship. I won it back-to-back my senior and junior year. My brother, he won 2 this year, basketball and football.
Oh, wow.
So I went home for the football, but I was kind of sad that I couldn't make it for the basketball. And I feel like my little sister, the best one out of all of us, she won state as a freshman, and won MVP. So whew, I was hurt. I was in meetings and I was watching it, and I was watching film. I was watching her and I was watching film, and I'm like, we might win this thing. And so when meetings was over with, they were in the fourth quarter. I just stayed around. I'm like, man, I'm about to watch this game. Yeah. And like I was just like, I would be texting the family group chat, and I mean, it was just like, wow, you know. Yeah. And so my dad is a big fan of all of us. He always talking to us. So like growing up, you couldn't talk in the table unless you did something. So I knew my senior year and junior year, I had to do something that he didn't do. My little brother had to do something that we both didn't do. And my little sister said she was going to do everything that nobody else did. And so we all have that competition, you know. And I also have another sister, biracial, and she's a nurse. She's trying to be a nurse. Okay. So we try to like not try to force her into that thing. We still let her at the table because she's a foreman. But at the same time, it's just everything. And then like my mom, she's just like, I got 1, 2, I got 5 rings, you know. Your sister, you, and your brother. That's how she said. I'm at the table already. I'm at the table by myself. Yeah. So she's very like everybody in that household is competitive. So I mean, I love it. I love them. My mom, my dad, all my siblings been out here. So they always be like, what are you doing? Like you're in Arizona. It's hot outside. I'm like, all right, cool. I'm used to it now. Yeah. But I mean, as a family orientated dude, I always give some time to them. Like my little brother, I spend most of my time with him. We talk on the phone every night. My little sister, she getting to that age where she don't want to talk to her brother. Mm-hmm. And my other sister, me and her talk, and she's in Middle Tennessee right now. So it's you know, back and forth with her. Yeah. So it's like I'm everywhere, you know. And I also like I have cousins that I call my brothers and sisters too that I love.
When they come out here, where's the places you take them? Is there anywhere here that feels like anything back home?
Oh, Flavors, Louisiana. That's my favorite. That's my place. I always take my family members to Flavors, Louisiana. We'll go to Lolo's, and then we'll just, you know, obviously like it's hot, you know. Yeah, you want to go somewhere. You want to go somewhere where it's got a pool where you can be cold. You know, like I'll take them to like Glendale or Scottsdale Mall. Or, you know, go up 8 Mountain sometimes. But they just want to have fun. And so it's just me being a big brother. I just want to take care of them.
So obviously that's the stuff you show them and you find pool. What are your favorite things to do out in Tempe? Because obviously you like it here if you're sticking around to come coach and you're not going back home yet.
I mean, I like going to Tempe-Town Lake. Like, Tempe-Town Lake is real relaxing. You know, it gives you time to just be by yourself. Like I go at night. I go at night when it's beautiful. It's nice. I mean, at the end of the day, you can just go out there. Nobody's going to bother you. It's just you and the river. And you just decompress from, these guys. Yeah. Film and just have some time to yourself. Like, at the end of the day, it's just you being you, but just relieving all the stress out yourself.
Yeah, I actually used to do that all the time at Tempe-Town Lake because I lived in Tempe when I was going to school, and I just moved to Gilbert like 3 months ago. I miss it because I used to go to Tempe-Town Lake all the time. It was a quick little bike ride or quick walk over, and peaceful people doing yoga and whatever out there, all kinds of stuff. It's a good time.
Yeah, and it's just like for me, honestly, I just feel like I like all that stress that I have just release out, and I just relax, and I just like for me, honestly, I lost 2 people that I really, you know. Like not really 2, like 3 or 4 people. My auntie that I was real close with, I treated like my grandmother. I didn't have a grandmother growing up. My cousin that treated me like I treated like an uncle that I was close with that introduced me to football. Mm-hmm. My grandmother died, and a bunch of other people in my family died, but just those 3 people were close to me, and I lost my auntie to COVID too as well, and she was like another grandmother. And that's my grandmother's sister. So it's been a lot of tough moments growing up, and just I miss them. That's why I go to Tippy Top Lake, just to decompress and stress myself and just think about them. That's one thing I always do.
Yeah, it's important. You spend the time to think about things because obviously, like when you're playing football or now coaching football, it's very easy to get caught up in that, and that's your entire life. But stepping away, I mean, that's something I've learned. I mean, I don't know how much you know about media, but people can get overworked real quick in that because you're doing everything by yourself. You see, I got the 2 cameras by myself here. I'm like making sure everything looks good, so that's part of it. So that's good. I wanted to touch a little bit on obviously some of your guys who are preparing for the draft right now that you played with, Chase and Rashad and all those guys. I mean, do you still talk to them all the time or catch up here and there?
I know all of them are busy. I don't really like to be in their face when they're going through this time because right now it's still a stressful time. I talk to Chase through Instagram. I talk to D Black text message and FaceTime sometimes. Me and DJ Davidson are still close because at the end of that we built that bond together. Rashard, I still talk to him from time to time. Curtis, time to time. Me and Kellen really hadn't talked that much, but we always would talk when we see each other. I mean, the list, Jack, me and JJ talk. I mean, that list just keep going on and on, and you still try to be involved with them because at the end of the day, you build that brotherhood with all of them, And like obviously, like Tyler and Donovan, they're my brothers too because I deal with them every day, D-line, O-line, So it's just stuff like that. But the only person I really talk to outside of everything is like one of my close friends, Damone Clark. Me and him always talk. We talked throughout the season too because he was at LSU and I was here. And we would just talk about life. We would talk about family. I mean, but we went to the same high school together, so that's why we're so close. So we just talk we talk down there every other day.
So guys you have right now that you're coaching, I'm going to have you put on your coach clipboard and your coach hat right now. I mean, who are some of the guys we need to know that maybe no one's talking about yet or just from what you're seeing so far 2 weeks in?
I mean,
coach analysis right here.
I mean, the whole D-line is good, Yeah. You got Jermaine coming back from an injury. You got Travis coming back from an injury. You got Stanley and Joe who's making tremendous strides to play this year. Mike Matus and Coop are the veteran leaders right now.
Yeah.
TJ and Omar, that whole front, that starting lineup going to be nice. But I really feel like that the youth are going to be good too towards fall camp. Like Dylan, Garen, BJ, B. Ahmad, Robbie, and that list go on and on. Nessa, him coming here, it's gonna help us out a lot too, and he's learning fast, And as a student assistant right now, I just want to be able to guide all these players the right way, and not be not only be don't be a headache, but just be somebody that's going to handle stuff professional. Because right now I'm still learning how to be professional as a coach.
Yeah.
So that's my thing.
Yeah, I feel like that's the hardest part is realizing that relationship is in that moment being I want to talk like a player, but I'm a coach right now. So that changes a little bit, right?
Yeah. I'd be like, all right. So when we come in through the lobby. So we come in, I'm like, all right, I'm about to go right. I'm gonna walk and I'm gonna make a right like I always did. I'm like, where's my shoulder pads?
Yeah.
And I gotta keep going. And then I remember when the first day out, they was like, hey, all right, you need a locker. I'm like, downstairs? And they was like, no, you upstairs with us now. And so that was wow, I'm really a coach and I need to really change my ways. And then it's I can't have conversations with those guys like I used to have. Mm-hmm. They want us to know I can you tell me what the coaches are saying in the meeting room? Nah. What is this? What is that? Are we gonna get this person? I'm like, I don't know. I don't know what you try to everything y'all saying is I don't know. I really don't know. That's my thing. And they just keep I'm like, oh, it's okay. It's okay, Shannon. You have to separate coaching from your homeboys, your brothers. At the end of the day, I love all of my teammates. But at the same time, I'm a coach now. Yeah. So I got to say, you're my player. But it's going to be a lot of stuff going on.
So that's interesting. I didn't think about that, but that would be curious because just being around teams my whole life, you'd be like, oh, like, now I know I have an in with somebody, so you would think that, but you got to keep that line. But maybe some of the conversations you might have, like, do you still have any like non-football conversations with them? As far as like you were mentioning how obviously you go to Tempe Town late to clear your head because you've gone through a lot of things and the surgeries and family stuff and all that. Do you talk to other guys on the team now? Or is that something you plan to do? Just let them know, like, hey, you got to take care of your mental, like when you're away from here too, because it's a grind here. But when you're home, you got to take care of that.
Yeah, that's one thing I always tell them, like, because I see guys like Garen from Louisiana. I always tell him, like, man, just don't worry about all that. Don't focus on stuff right now. You need to stop worrying about what's outside of football right now. Mm-hmm. Just focus on it. And once you're done, you're done. So and then you go back to that life, and then you can have people help you out. Because honestly, I'm not gonna lie to you, everybody deal with mental health. Mm-hmm. It's just the way who's in your life. Like, I feel like if you have somebody that's in your life that's gonna help you out, that's good. I respect that. That's excellent. But then there's those people that want to fight those demons by themselves. And that's when it's like, all right, can you handle it by yourself, or do you need somebody? Like, for me, honestly, I can't handle nothing by myself. I need some. Sometimes I break down and I just talk to my mom, or I talk to my daddy. So at the end of the day, it's just who can handle it by itself and who can handle it with somebody. And that's my thing.
I think the big thing is recognizing it, which you do, which is really awesome. I got one last thing for you to ask everybody when I do these sit-down interviews. It makes you get a little deep on some things, mm-hmm. But if you can look back at your freshman self when you're coming into ASU and tell yourself, like, hey, 5 years from now I'm going to be coaching, what advice would you have for just the time you had playing?
It'll be more so to focus on film, because at the end of the day, my freshman year, I was playing. So everybody that was not playing, they'll go do what they do. They have fun. I'm like, man, I wish I could leave out, but I was just so dialed in to I need to watch film more. I need to understand this scheme. Because at the same time, if I learned the scheme a little bit better and I would have played with a little bit more technique and came in with that mindset of weightlifting and watching film, it would have been different. But at the end of the day, God put you in certain situations to handle it differently. So at the end of the day, I played my freshman year. I played, and then my sophomore year, I blew up a little bit after that first game. But at the end of the day, it's just how many years what is your purpose? And a lot of people don't know that. God has a purpose for you. And my mom, she always tell me this every time I was like, I'll call her crying, like, I don't want to do this though, boy. I don't like this, coach. Just calm down. God has a purpose, and God is just talking to you right now, and you're not hearing it. And right now, that's why I've been heavily in church right now. If I don't go to church, due to coaching, I just watch it online and just real life listen to the word, and sometimes it gets to me and I'll be like, what? Like this right here, he's talking to me. I can't. No, I'm not about to pause this right now. Keep going. You know? So that's my thing.
Yeah, on a real level, I heard it the other day. The best way I heard it, it's like praying, whether it's God or universe or whatever anybody wants to talk to, praying is like you reaching out, and then intuition and feeling things that you feel like you should be doing is God or the universe talking back to you. And so I think it seems like you've got a pretty good grasp on that now, and you wish you could go back and tell yourself that a few years ago, huh?
Yeah, being 20, I'm about to be 23 next Tuesday, so being able to understand this is what I want to do at a young age, it's like one stepping stone of what you want to do in the future. I want to, my goals, I told my mom and my dad this, I said I want to be a D-line coach before I'm 27. Boom. 27, I'm a D-line coach.
Write it down.
Yeah, yep. Write it down. And then by the time I get to 32, 33, I want to be a defensive coordinator. Because at the end of the day, 27 all the way to 32, 5, 6 years into it, you start to think all right, okay, cool. All right. I feel like I know the defense a little bit. Let me try to apply for this defense coordinator job. Yeah. By the time I get to 30, before I turn 40, I just want to be a head coach.